Hi, my name is Suzanne Schwartzberg, and I have a question for you today. When you hear the word control, what do you think of? Power, strength, force, organization? For each person, control can be so many different things. But the need for control for everybody comes from the same two needs. So what are those needs? Certainty and uncertainty. The reason why you feel you need to control a certain person or a certain situation is because of your need for certainty. Most likely, those are areas in your life that you feel pretty uncertain. Otherwise, there would be no need for control because you already know how it's going to turn out. When I think about my life, I remember being a kid. And I remember going into school and being bullied like so many other people. And what was missing for me at the time was any kind of control or knowing what to do in that situation. I'd go home and I'd cry to my mom and she'd say, "Wait, what happened? What did they say to you?" And she'd go, "Oh, don't listen to them. One day, they're going to be begging to hang out with you. They're going to be wishing that they were your friend." And I go, "Okay." And I'd go back into school, and the same thing would happen again and again and again. They'd pull my pants down, and they'd call me names, and throw spitballs at me, all the way up until I graduated high school. When I'd come home from school, my parents would be fighting in the middle of the night, arguing about things. And I would go in there, and I would go in there and start crying, to them, or I'd run to my room and I'd go cry, thinking maybe if I could divert their attention to me, then maybe they would stop fighting. And did that work? No, of course. I was just a kid. It didn't stop their fighting. Maybe it would pause it for a second, and then they would just start arguing again. That lack of control really had an impact on my life. For so many years, when I'd go to the store with my mom, and she wouldn't even ask if I liked the pants or not. She would just say, "Hey, these are cheap. Let's go buy them." And I never learned really how to make my own decisions, because without realizing it, I was giving up my control to somebody else because I didn't want to mess up. I didn't want to do something wrong. So I figured, hey, if she makes decisions, then I don't have to have any responsibility if I make the wrong choice. And I stopped trusting within myself to make my own choices. All the way up to college when she said, "Hey, this school looks nice," and that's the school that I went to. It wasn't until later in life that I realized how uncomfortable I was making choices, that I actually started becoming comfortable and accepting someone else's control. Often when it would come to, dating and things like that, I would think maybe I could find a way for this guy to do what I want. Maybe I could find a way for him to ask for what I need. And I would say, "You said you'd call me last night and you didn't call." And that really upset me. And I thought that maybe if I kept, telling him how I felt, that maybe it would change. But in the end, he really didn't want to make the effort to call. And I would go and, I would say, "You know what? If he's not going to call me, then I'm not going to answer the phone for 2 days." And I would try to control him by not answering the phone. And still, it still didn't work. I still didn't get what I need, because what happens when you try to control somebody else? You lose connection. You lose trust. Neither person can authentically really show up as who they are. And you keep thinking things will change and you'll get what you want. In that moment, maybe you do. But throughout the relationship or throughout that job situation, you're still not really getting what you want. And what happens when you are the one that is being controlled? You don't really want to see that person. You're afraid that you can't really be yourself with them. I've had friends who tell me how I have to do things, and I end up just getting frustrated and overwhelmed and resentful, because its control doesn't really work. It's forced. It's something that you're trying to make happen that's just not really a possibility to happen. Now, I know up till now you're probably thinking, wow, I don't want to be controlling. I don't want to control anybody else. This control thing sounds so bad. But here's the thing. We all need a little bit of control in our lives, so we're not living in a world of uncertainty. In 2007, I lost my dad in January. I was only 25 years old. That same September, my older brother committed suicide. And in February that next year, I thought I could just take control if I don't sit here in bed and be depressed about, losing people in my life. I'm going to go out. I'm going to go to a club and I'm going to have a great night and I'm going to not let this stuff get to me because I'm going to have an enjoyable life and enjoy my friends for every minute. And I went out that night and I said, you know what? I need to drink more because everybody's having fun. I need to drink more so I can have more fun and feel more courageous. And a little later that evening, I was a victim of sexual assault. When that happened, I said to myself, bad things come in threes. He's not going to control my life. I'm going to. And I threw myself into my job and I threw myself into my social life. And I was working 12 hours a day and coming into work every day. I was working at a hotel. And I said, if I can make the hotel better, I can control this. I can make sure someone leaves happy with their stay. I can make sure my staff feels supported. I have control again. And what happened? I got to work and the fire alarm got pulled. Later on that evening, we had a leak in one of our rooms and we were sold out and I had nowhere to put this person because the room was already needing to get fixed by maintenance. Then that night, one of my staff told me they couldn't come in. And I ended up staying to stay till 3 o'clock in the morning in order to help them. Wherever I looked, it felt like the ceiling was falling down upon me. I felt like nothing was certain anymore. Nothing was guaranteed. My family wasn't certain. My day at work wasn't certain. But if I could just work harder, if I could just pour my soul into this job. Sorry, my light went out. Maybe if I could just pour my soul into this job. Oh, come on. Sorry, there we go. Technology glitch. That maybe if I could pour myself into this job, make things better for other people, then maybe I could learn to enjoy my life again. I could have control and peace of mind. And I would work 12-hour days, pouring myself in, thinking that would work. And then I would go out after that for about 6 hours until 5, 6 in the morning, thinking if I can just control me and my friends having a good time, then pour myself into dancing all night, maybe then I will have control again. And the harder I tried to force control back, the less it worked. I was trying so hard to make sure that everything was okay, that no one saw that anything beyond my smile. I was a social butterfly. I was planning all the events, all the parties, all the brunches, because I didn't want to admit to myself that I had absolutely no control over my life. This went on for a few years. I held it together somehow. And eventually, I lost my job. I made a little mistake. I lost my job. And that was just the worst thing. I said to my boss that day, I said, I don't have anything. This is all that I have. And she said, I'm sorry, we have to let you go. From there, I said, I'm going to go take a trip. I'm going to take a trip around the world and I'm going to take my control back. And I asked everybody, where should I go? And they told me. And I kept trying and trying and trying to make this trip great and to cram all the places in. But having control doesn't mean that you have fulfillment. It doesn't mean that you're happy. When the control is a forced control, it really doesn't work because it's not a peaceful, easy control. It's one that you're trying to make happen when it's not really there. Throughout the trip, I tried to find the best in it, but I was just another country. I was in Asia and far away from my family. I was completely by myself for 6 months, and I hit rock bottom. And I started having suicidal ideations, and I ended up coming home and cutting my trip short with a encouragement of my friends. During that time, I learned a lot. After I got out of the hospital, I sit up one night and prayed, and I said, please, if you help me get out of here, I promise that I'll do whatever I can to not end up here again. And I don't know what or who heard me, but after that, I tried everything possible, from Landmark to Tony Robbins to therapists. I was willing to try anything that might help. And the biggest takeaways I received during that time of personal development and really dedication to myself was a few things. One, if we don't trust in ourselves, you can't have any control. Because in the end, you can't really control other people. They're just other people like you. You can't control circumstances. You can't control if you get a promotion or not. You can make the steps and the efforts to do so, but it still doesn't guarantee that you're going to get the promotion or the job or the relationship's going to work out. But if you focus on controlling yourself and controlling your reactions to things and your emotions to things and what you put your focus on, then everything else falls into place. I slowly learned that I needed to trust in the universe. I didn't know where it would take me. I ended up moving to DC, and after 2 years there, I had an opportunity to apply for the next job, but it was in Boston. I didn't know where my life in Boston was going to take me, but I believed in myself. I trusted in myself, and I didn't try to control if I got that promotion or not. I said, if I get it, I get it. If not, I'm okay. And there's a certain grace, a certain peace in knowing that no matter what happens to you, that you're going to be okay. In the end, it's okay we all need some control. But realize, focus on that control being on you, on keeping to your routines, on keeping promises to yourself, to your own integrity, to knowing that you love yourself and that you can control your behaviors and your reactions. And when you mess up and you can try again. Stop focusing on trying to control other people or having them wanting to be like you or have the same work ethic as you or the same heart as you or a circumstance of a job or a relationship. You can't control that relationship. You can make steps to make it work better or the job, but all you truly can control is yourself. But there's a fine line between having a peaceful control where you truly trust the universe and that things are going to happen for, one of my favorite quotes is Tony Robbins says, life is happening for you, not to you. And I really felt like for so long that life was living me, not me living and creating my life, not me being in charge of what's going to happen. Nothing's guaranteed. We can't tell how things are going to work out, but we can control our relationship with ourselves. So my challenge for you today is to think of one thing that you can give up controlling and one way that you can love yourself more. Because that's where the real power is. Not in forcing people to do things, not in, trying to control a certain situation, but in loving yourself enough that you feel safe, that you feel trusted, that when you think of control, you only see the positive because it's more of a forgiveness and a strength than a powerful force control. You don't need to have wars. You just need to have love within. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I have a wonderful day.